Hi there. Hi, Dan.
Hello, Joan. Let's do it. Let's clean up the world.
Let's clean it up. Let's clean it up together. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Together, we can clean up the world. Together, let's clean up the world.
All right. Well, hi, challengers. We just wanted to pop in and I wanted to introduce you to one of the mentors, which is Dan Diez. He's joining from the Philippines. And yeah, we thought we would just do our video together because we've been talking about coastal cleanups for a long time. So Dan, do you want to just say a quick hi before I ask you about the best way to do coastal cleanups?
Yeah, so happy, clean planet, green team, and those who are taking the challenge for the Climate Action 2020.
So Dan has been doing coastal cleanups in the Philippines for several years, and we've been getting questions from some of the challengers that are starting saying, how do you pay for it? How do you get people organized? How do you do it during COVID? How do you make a bigger difference rather than just cleaning up? How do you actually change things? And I know that you've been working on all of that. So what would be your advice for somebody who just wants to start a cleanup now and doesn't have, governments are struggling right now. There's not a lot of money for people to help, but they still want to do it. They want to take action. So what would you recommend?
Wow. So anyway, so money should never be a hindrance to do a positive thing, right? So being positive yourself, having a dream for a clean planet, it starts with your determination and your own desire and your dreams. And that dream has to be visualized. It has to be communicated. And it has to win many people's hearts and mind. And you create a small team among your friends, not from other country, but locally. And that's the start. And that's the beginning of getting together because of one common purpose or desire, because the situation you are now is so problematic, maybe in the beach area, as what was mentioned by Victor in Sierra Leone, where a lot of dumpings of household waste, government even has national monthly cleanups, but it seems it's not being effective. So in that case, we really have to meet. When you do plan, you always do it after, and then you check if it works, and then you do another action to make sure the plan can be achieved. Yeah. So definitely, it starts from oneself.
So that's a very important thing. And I think that's what's happening with the 2020 International Climate Action Challenge, is that it's those of us who are frustrated with governments and businesses who aren't taking action. And we realize, actually, we can just do it ourselves and we can help each other to do it. So if somebody wants to start a big thing and where should they start?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so start with a plan, with a dream, then look for a small site that's locally within your reach, and take a picture, take a video of the situation, and share it to your friends, not necessarily through Facebook, because some of the viewers are far from you. Because of the COVID pandemic, we have to do the protocols, and it has to be done locally in your own homes. So when you say clean up the beach, we will make the beach cleaner if we prevent visitors going to the beach. So doing segregation, doing recycling, reducing waste at home, and converting or reusing them to other purpose, and especially the household waste, the compost, composted. So you're reducing the material that goes to the landfill. you know, and that's better than clean up, prevention, you know. So once you do prevention is better than clean up, but we need to clean up to make awareness, to make people realize how dangerous these plastic to the biosphere, to our ocean, to our health, etc. And then we can talk on collaboration, because we cannot do it alone. So we have to talk to polluters who are there, companies who want to make positive change and impact to solve this problem, government that has many laws, enforcement, and even engineers, technicians, or scientists who can create engineering or technology to solve the waste collected. You know, yeah.
So that's a good point, and I think that goes with my message of, if you feel that you're struggling, get 100 partners. And so you're saying, like, the polluters, the companies that are creating the plastics or whatever you're picking up, if it's fishing nets, then working with the fishermen, just working with schools, with the government organizations, the city councils on the environment, anybody that might be interested. The surfers, I know you had said the surfers, the people who have yachts, anybody who uses the beach. You have all these people that love the beach. We all love the beach. So it's just communicating that vision to make it happen. And so what are the steps that you take to go beyond cleanup? How can you, because nobody wants to just be on the back end, just cleaning up. So what are some ways that you can use the cleanup to bring people together, but then what do you actually do that changes the policies and long term?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so these cleanup actions should lead to change of lifestyle, change of behavior, change of mindset of each and individual. And with that, we are the ones who buys this product. So we have the power to choose, and we say together we will not buy this type of packaging, right? Together we will ban these maybe cigarette butts within a certain radius of the beach, because they are polluting the beach. Anyway, when it rains, the cigarette butt go there. So the only way is to prevent them near the beach. So this can also lead to policies in the community level, city level, and the national. So go from lower to up, because it's quite difficult, challenging battle, and takes long to make policies on the national level. So start with your local, be a champion, and start small victories, and these victories would ripple and becomes bigger. So the fire in the forest doesn't begin with a big fire. It begins with a spark somewhere in those dry leaves. So find that dry spark to have a flame, you know.
If you're reading the book, you can look at that. And I learned a lot of this from Dan, but this idea that you plan a day of action and then follow it up with a strategic community forum. But you do the action first, because people need to work together, know each other, develop relationships, feel like they're in it together before they have the conversations, conversations are not easy. So it's good to build the trust first. How do you train the volunteers so that they will understand about collecting the data and understanding the bigger issues? So you're not just saying, I think a lot of people do cleanups, they say, okay, here's a bag, here's some gloves, pick it up, thanks, here's a drink, and that's it. But I think you've come up with some ways to really help them understand the bigger issues, so that they're going to be part of this long-term army of people that really care about the environment.
Once you've campaigned and searched for possible members of your team for this cleanup action, there's a need to form them. We call this Eco Leaders Camp. So these Eco Leaders Camp are trained volunteers, and this will be grassroots leaders who would do your local cleanup in each of your community, coastal, or even up to the ridge in the summit or in the mountain, because we want to have a national cleanup, not just the coast, but not just the sea, but to the summit, from ridge to reef. So you need to train and capacitate people. And once you've trained their minds, so they would easy for them to love, because you don't catch the fish with the heart, you catch the fish with the head. And once this head is enlightened, then there's a change of heart. And these are your true warriors, and you train them in environmental laws. Second is on leadership. And then third is your helping them how to create their team. So building a green team is important for you to make collective action during this climate action. You can just don't do it alone. So train yourself as an eco leader or as a green team academy leader, and then build your team. And then you can do it step by step, slowly, with a big dream, but you start small steps, baby steps. Capacity, eco leaders camp, and then you do a cleanup target. After the cleanup, then you come up with a summit or a forum where you can discuss what you have experienced and go beyond the cleanup and come up with solutions that are appropriate for the community, solutions that can the government make laws or ordinance, and solution that can make company cooperate and collaborate to solve their problems together.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's, you know, the thing about like you hear from the UN, it says we need to have massive transformation on every single level. And if there's just a few of us doing it, we'll never get there. So when you have somebody that says, yeah, heck, I'll help with the beach cleanup, to what you're doing is empowering them to understand the bigger issues, the laws, what needs to really change, what the risks are of how we're doing it now, how important it is to get involved, and then encouraging them in leadership to start their own teams. That's just miles or kilometers better than just saying, here, thanks for picking up that piece of trash. You're really amplifying that little bit of interest that they show and saying, yes, this is important, and take it as far as you can, including working with us to change those local and national policies. Another thing I was going to ask you, Dan, is on the enterprise side. So, you know, there's a saying, I heard it first in a permaculture class, that says there is no waste, just lack of creativity. And so the materials that you're picking up, what are some of the innovative ways that you are using them?
Yeah, so right now we are hoping to partner with this plastic bank. Is our global organization that makes sure that these plastics used are collected and then recycled, and they could be reused and again. So we're here in the Philippines, we have lots of islands, and we're trying to prevent these fish nets that are used by so many fishermen. So we are training coastal fishers and even young fishers to collect these fish nets. And once you collect these fish nets, we will ask them to segregate, and those nylons, we can use it as a thread to make what you call this bracelets, or even here in the Philippines, there's more Catholics, so we have idea of rosary for people who can use it for prayer. So we need to collect also those PPE, these HDP, these plastics that are like the soft drinks bottle cups. We do a lot of collections from the beach cleanups on these plastics, hard plastics. And then we find a local recyclers, and these local recyclers can make pellets, and these pellets we can use as bracelets or crafts. You know, this is just one of the creativity or innovation, but we have to find those partners. Then second, that we have been doing is, these tarpaulins, so many advertisements that are printed in tarpaulins, and we use these tarpaulins, collecting them, and then ask the women that we've trained, they make them into eco bags. So tarpaulin bags, or these tarpaulins we created as an apron. So when you do cooking, So also there are textiles that are not used, so we use them for eco bags as well. So as I said, permaculture, yeah, everything is created for a purpose, not created for landfills. So it's a matter of extracting these precious materials from the earth and then reuse them over and over again. So that's being sustainable. Then using it one time and throwing it in the landfill, or sad to say, they ended up under the oceans and keep compiling for many years.
Yeah, that's a lot of years. Yeah, it is. It is a lot. It's so many.
So you cannot clean it anymore, no? So it's useless.
Yeah. Right. Like I heard the thing where plastic, it doesn't go away. It just gets smaller and smaller, but it just stays there. So one other quick thing I wanted to ask you is, I know that Ocean Conservancy has some resources that you have used. And so for you mentioned earlier about how important it is to track the waste that you collect. So what does Ocean Conservancy have, or what would you recommend for tracking your data, and why is that important?
Yeah, so the good thing of the Ocean Conservancy is they had many histories of doing it, and they had perfected the systems, and they have all the reports and data. And these reports and data from cleanups all over the country and in the Philippines and all over the world are accumulated all throughout the year, and they summarize it, and these are used for policies. And then last year they improvised a app where you can put your document report using the mobile application. Before, it's just paper, you print, scan, and then send to them by email. But now you can just click in your mobile application. So that becomes more easier. So data is important, reports are important, because if there's no report, there's no evidence, then you're not doing it.
So you're saying when you go, if you're doing some kind of cleanup, then make sure that you plan ahead for how you're going to sort the materials, weigh them, and store that information. And one way to do it is with this Ocean Conservancy app, but you could also just do it, on paper or however else. But the important thing is to plan ahead to make sure that you don't just pile it all in, take it off, and then go, oh, I don't know how much.
Example, when we had a summit on International Coastal Cleanup Summit last year in Lapu-Lapu City, and then with that summit, since the Lapu-Lapu City local government unit has been consistent in coastal cleanup, they have all the data every year. So with the new administration here in the Lapu-Lapu City government, since for many years, like over maybe 15 years, they do these yearly cleanups, and they have this report. So that was their basis for coming up with a policy on plastic ordinance. So if you don't have those data, it's difficult for the government to say, what was our basis, Why do we have to ban all of this?
Okay, so that's really important. So if you're trying to get the government to change, and in the end, in that example, they changed the ordinance based on the data that was collected from the years before. So if you're doing the cleanup, collect the data, that's going to make it easier for you to help them change. Okay, that's great. Well, I think that that was kind of the main things that we wanted to get at. And so Dan is going to be one of the mentors in the challenge portal. So we really hope that you'll sign up for the challenge. And I've reached out so many times to Dan because he has a way of bringing in, doing really creative things, whether it's responding to the pandemic or responding to a hurricane, and he moves really fast and gets a lot of people working together. And so that's the kind of thing that we can really learn from each other. So thanks so much, Dan, for participating in the challenge as a mentor, and thanks for all the stuff that you do.
All right, you're welcome to serve the Green Team Academy worldwide.
Should we go out singing again?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you I don't know.
You start. Okay, we're gonna clean up the world together.
Clean up the world together.
Start with a positive idea, and you will bring people together.
Be a green team.
So we're not going to help you with your singing so much, but we will help you get your idea off the ground and into the world and get it going within 90 days. All right. Thanks so much, Dan. And thanks, everybody. Hope you sign up.
All right. So goodbye. See you in the next challenge.